Welcome to CPG Vibes. No scripts,
just chat.
I'm Alex Baer.
And I'm Wade Yenny.
Each episode is recorded live, and we talk all things food and beverage, and so much more.
Feel our vibe and search for CPG Vibes on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and make sure to give us a 5-star review.
If you'd like to sponsor our show with your product or service, email us at cpgvibes100@gmail.com.
Now, let's vibe. Welcome to CPG Vibes number, 179, I guess is what the number says. That was a little bit of a crap show. If you're joining us, we had a little technical difficulties that we worked through, but it's good to be here on this Labor Day Friday, or Friday before Labor Day. Gavin, what's going on, man?
Man, I am beat. I am battling multiple variations of a lot of symptoms of a lot of different a lot of different sicknesses, but I'm hanging in there. Wade, how are you?
Good. It's been, we've talked several times this week. It's been a crazy week just across the board for multiple reasons, but we're going to end the craziness today. We've got a special guest. As everyone knows, if you're joining us, it's Mark Samuel, and he'll be joining us quickly. I've got a quick read I want to do for our ongoing sponsor, who's Creative Kaiju. If you run a CPG brand and need design help, Creative Kaiju might be exactly what you're looking for. It's like having your own design team, but without the cost of hiring in-house. For one flat monthly fee, you can request as many designs as you need: packaging design, pitch decks, social posts, whatever. No contracts, no hidden fees, just fast, reliable design made for growing CPG brands. And if you use the link that I'm going to put in the box and put in the code CPG Vibes, you'll get a 10% discount. So I will put that in, and that'll take care of the ongoing sponsor. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on YouTube. Just search for CPG Vibes. Subscribe, rate, give us 5 stars, do all those things, and we'd appreciate it. I think, Gavin, you had something else. We wanted to talk quickly before we bring in Mark about Newtopia, right? We're gonna
just like what the overall vibes were. I heard kind of mixed reviews. Just Wade, hear anything on your side?
What I heard, and I read, and I've talked to people, it was overly positive. Everybody was very upbeat about the show in general, and just more intimate, better connections, easy to walk. The events were good. I honestly did not hear a lot, if any, negatives. So a lot of positives. How about you?
The only negatives that I heard were, it sounded like there's a lot of emerging brands there. It did sound like which is honestly a good thing for the retailers, because again, to your point, they can have more intimate conversations. But it sounded like there might have, like for the more established brands, there might have been a lack of retailers that had that presence. It sounded like the show itself was relatively easy to walk. It wasn't too confusing or anything like that. So that could be a good or a bad thing, however you want to take that.
Right.
But outside of that, Wade, let's bring on Mark. For those of you guys who don't know, I think Mark is someone that Wade and I both connected with during the early stages of the pandemic. I'm talking like 2020 is probably when I started seeing Mark pop up on LinkedIn really aggressively. Simultaneously, I think around the same time that I connected with Wade. Mark is someone who is an avid poster on LinkedIn, who has nearly 70,000 followers on that platform. He obviously stresses an incredibly disciplined way of life. He's a serial entrepreneur with a new brand called Mark Snacks. So, Mark, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. What's going on?
Not too much, Mark. Wade, why don't you kick it off?
Yeah, well, Mark, first of all, it's good to see you. It's been, I think the last time, did you and I do this by ourselves? I think
I think so.
You were the bullpen. We called in the bullpen, and you came in and stepped up.
Yeah.
We're going to drill in. We're going to talk about Mark Snacks, but let's just generally speaking, what have you been up to? Just generally speaking, we're going to dive into the snacks.
The same thing as I was when the last time we spoke, dude. Nothing changes in my life. Nothing changes in my life. Every day seems to be similar to the last. That's for sure. Other than that, yeah, same stuff though. Kids are now back at school. So that's cool. Just doing gym stuff in the morning, getting kids off to school, working in the afternoon, get them after school, sports after that, go to bed. And then
Are
we
you any closer to a Chipotle sponsorship yet?
Now, you know what's funny, dude? It's I have only been there like twice in the last couple months. I was actually just there randomly. Not for any real reason, not because they haven't sent me my check yet, and not because they haven't put my picture on the wall, which I'm only asking for a few local locations. Shout out Chipotle, please listen. I've only said it a few times. I've been eating out less. I didn't eat out much before either. I'm very sort of, I wouldn't say careful about it. It's just I prefer not to, even if we're out with the family and the like. I've been eating a lot of food at the house on purpose because I feel like I'm getting cleaner and cleaner as the days have gone on, and that's so that's my comment against that.
Nice.
Well,
Well,
obviously
you
shows
answered-
your physique and
Yeah.
your gym pictures that you post all the time. For those that are just tuning in and might not know Mark, you've obviously had a pretty crazy last couple of years. I know you from Iwan. I know you had a stop at Unbun, and now you're doing Mark Snacks. Just give us a quick rundown of those three things, and then from there we'll ask some more questions.
Yeah, it's a good question. I just had that same question, but I didn't think about it the way that it was posed. Literally an hour ago, I was talking to somebody who's taken on an opportunity with us, and he said, he's like, "Wow, you've had a really crazy last 18 months," and I never thought about it because my immediate response was, "I don't see anything that has changed. I mean, nothing felt out of the norm," and that's just I guess because that's sort of my life. I mean, it doesn't feel out of place at any time, at any specific time. However, if you were being objective and watching from the outside, definitely Iwan was this baby that I had for quite some time. People, at least on social, knew me for that. The business was very flat. I was always very transparent about that. We weren't eager, at least I wasn't eager to go raise against it. I just didn't think it was there, and I didn't think that it was the right thing to do. Another thing that I just spoke about, the subject matter of moving on or keep going, how people sort of have that twisted. And I want to keep diving into that a little bit more with people. As far as one thing that I feel like I'm pretty good at is recognizing when it's time to move on, or as some would say, or the way that I like to say it, keep going. Because we're just on this journey of life, and sometimes that has to do with work and our career or jobs or businesses that we have. And it's good to check in with yourself every so often to find out when it's time to move on. That's number one. Two is my stopovers in between that and what I'm doing now with Marks is I had this great opportunity. I actually still do some consulting for City Capital. They're well known. I'm friends with Melissa and Steven. It was kind of what came to be just a short stopover. The reality is, and they would say we had this offline thing. I'm good working for myself. It's pretty simple. And we found that out really early, and it was cool and transparent. It just so happened this business that was people sort of knew that I was tinkering with. It just wasn't necessarily a fit per se. All for those reasons I just described. And I'm here, lastly, as I just described it the same exact way, I'm here doing what I'm doing now because God put me here to do what I'm doing now. And that's just it's so simple to just be into that, in that way of thinking.
That's amazing. I have a quick question.
Sure.
That self-reflection with Iwan, like there would be a lot of, I've seen it countless times in this industry where people would keep pressing on for investment. Like, hey, we've got to keep this thing going. How did you come to that realization that you just need to stop? Like you clearly saw it, and kudos to you for doing that. I think I would say like 97% of founders would keep pushing. What made you stop?
It's a good question. And it's a topic I don't think we've talk about enough, or at least it's not a publicly aligned topic that those get really descriptive around. And I don't mind doing it. because it's a really good one. People forget that the majority of those that get into this business or business in general do not make it, and or have a business that is flat, and they need to make decisions that are in the best interest of them, and in fact, in the best interest of even their cap table in some way. So with that said, I was fairly lucky. I had not only a supportive cap table, my lead on that cap table, this was years ago, would say, I think it's time to move on. And this is somebody who was well invested in the business. And you got to think about that. Again, objectively think about that comment from somebody. And recognize that, at least I can now, maybe I should have. And what I did, which is what most do, is they continue to press on for one reason or another. They have a multitude of reasons. It could be personal. It could be ego. It could be because they think there's something right around the corner. And there's nothing to say as to discount that. There may even be some truths behind some of those sentiments. But then there becomes a time when you really need to look at where you're at and be really thoughtful and objective about what it is that you're going to do next. And those are very, very, very hard emotional decisions. You need to be very, very mature with them. And for me, I feel like, again, same thing, timing, with where I'm at in life and just the way that I look at what is next for me, it all came to be, and it was time to move on.
Was there like a specific, I mean, obviously you just talked about a couple moments there. What did the data tell you, right? Like, was it consumer? Were the consumers telling you? Were they not picking up the product? Were you spending more than obviously getting an ROI on all the shipments from Unified KHE, all the likes? What was that like?
Good question. The data, there's the capital piece, and then the data piece, and then the 95 things that's layered in between that you could bring up as a topic. I would say that the data for me was never impressive. Like, again, objectively, it was never impressive. There were moments, especially early, where I knew that the product was at its best form. Because that's the other thing too that I don't get into too much. But again, you'd have to have lengthy conversations so people could really write down what was the story like and where did it go and why did it go that way. Originally, like early on, especially with the extruded products, when we finally got into the sticks, like that was a really amazing product. Like where we were manufacturing it, it was wildly dialed in. I just had said this too. This is a good one just for sentiment. There was a time early when I would have product in my car and I would happily be handing those out at the local soccer game, right? At the gym to moms or parents or that I knew, like excitedly doing it, even the kids. There became a time years later, like this was when it started to flatten and come down. We had moved manufacturing. The processes had moved. There was lack of capital. I didn't really have those options anymore. I was giving up certain things to get certain things. And a lot of that was related to product and final finish. I started to not do those things any longer because I didn't have confidence in the product. That's a problem. So again, people can extract whatever they want from that. I would just say one was capital, the lack of it. You have to recognize that there was no more pushing where you wanted to push. That's a problem. The second thing was velocity, which you sort of intimated, was I never saw a real velocity story, period. And people have to, again, if you're a founder, you have to be wildly truthful with yourself and understand what does that even mean when it comes to a velocity story. I never saw a number like a lesser evil. I knew Charles' numbers. Yeah. I would talk to Charles. You get where I'm going with that. And that's a problem in itself that many find themselves in. And last comment against it would be this. It's because most of us don't have a velocity story. I'm going to tell you, I can tell you right now, even those that you think are doing extremely well, they don't have a velocity story. What they do have is this. They come right in the middle of the row, which I started to find myself being okay with, What that means, and Wade would attest to this and understand it. You have 25 people in your category. There's a list of them. Somehow you got the list. And as long as you fell somewhat in the middle, you knew that you wouldn't get knocked off or basically discontinued. And you start saying to yourself, that's going to be my play. That's going to be my play. Just stay out of harm's way, build more distribution points, and let me go pick up my basically my volume, right? And our scale revenue wise by just playing in the middle. Fuck that. That's a fucked up story. I don't like it, and I'm not playing there. And in fact, it's why I'm very adamant about what I'm about to do right now. I'm slow rolling this thing out. I just want to know, what is this thing? Right now, I'm getting feedback. People are rifling into my messages. I haven't even pushed this out yet, and I'm getting the feedback that I fucking was praying for. But that don't mean shit. That don't mean shit.
Mark, last thing on Taiwan, really quick. Is there anything you could have done differently because I love where you're going with this, right? Middle of the road. Typically, when I've been with a brand, you see where yourself at the rankings. You want to climb up those rankings. Some people clearly plateau. Is there anything you could have done from a marketing side of things or anything from an investment side where you could have been like, all right, hey, we're not fifth, we're 15th, and this little thing that we do, that we spend on is going to get us to 7th. Is there anything you could have done there with the brand?
100 things. 100.
What's the top one? What's the top
100
one?
What would be the top one?
I fucked up 100 times. The biggest one is, excuse my language today. I'm feeling.
You're fired up.
Feeling pretty today. Feeling pretty. The biggest one. We originally had our packaging and everything was fine. Fine doesn't mean much, but it just means fine. There was no real issue happening. We hadn't been discontinued for any reason, but again, middle of the road stuff. We had great feedback about the product and the like. We were slowly growing the business. There became a time again where lack of capital started to occur, which was numerous times. And because of the lack of velocity story, which I just described, because I was always honest about that, and I didn't want to play in the middle, knowing that there was really nowhere to go from there, I said, we got to do a packaging change. And not only did I do a packaging change, I went all in and flipped the script. We went all red. We chose a color. Everybody would remember it somewhat because they think, well, I remember the last product that we flipped it, changed it. And it was all, I take full 100% responsibility. It doesn't matter if I got comments from this person, that person had somebody, doesn't matter. It was my responsibility. And I would never do that again. Period. There you go.
Got it. Wow. So we spent the first, I don't know how many minutes talking about where you've been, but it's a good segue into where you're going to go. And you kind of alluded to what you're doing. And I want to start at the very beginning. So let's talk this through. You're in a category, IWAN with, and obviously protein enhanced and organic and the attributes and blah, blah, blah. And you move away from that and you're back. At what point did you say, I want to come back? And more importantly, why do what you're doing? Potatoes, obviously non-GMO, avocado oil. I get that. But one of the most competitive categories in the store, there's easier ways to hurt yourself. Talk us through the thought process.
I walked into a place and I thought I was going to do stripping. That didn't work. They kicked me out immediately. I reverted back to what
Mark, you didn't go in the right place. Clearly.
Yeah, it didn't work. Let's leave it at that. So that career's out immediately, day one. Okay. Here's where it was. I had noted, I wrote about this. I would never do this again. I'm open with it. I don't think anybody, I don't think anybody should do this. I leave this small caveat of folks that have somewhat of an idea of what this is and what they would need to be educated on and be willing to be educated on for them to give it somewhat of a go. Because I'm also not a dream killer. So that's number one. Two is when I realized that where I was going to go as far as moving on to work with some folks and the like, and recognize that I can't do that. I got to go do my own thing. This idea of, do I just go back in there with something? just one more time. It's kind of like the way I've always, like a lot of us are like that. Just let me get one more crack at it. Everything is fresh zero, right? Everything is fresh zero. Concept can be fresh. And I started to sell myself on that. So that was one. Two was, okay, if I was going to do it, what does it have to be? And what does it have to have? And then I started naming those things. There were like 3 or 4 things. One had to be in a massive category. I'm not into this whole thing about, I know, but it's so competitive. You're just another, so what? So is everybody else. You've bullshitted yourself if you think you got some friggin' chocolate from the hills of Madagascar, and you're rifling it off the back of somebody coming down the hill with it in a fucking backpack. Relax. Anyway, so that's number one. Number two is it have to be wildly personal. It wasn't like I was like, it's going to be Mark's. It was just like it had to be wildly personal because it's the only way, which I described later, that you could actually build some sort of moat. Because the moat concept is something that's been thrown around a little bit, but nobody gets really descriptive about what does that actually mean. I need to be able to own this thing. We talk about you don't want it to be duplicated. Great. Yes, of course. So what are the ways to do that? It's got to be something super personal. So that was 2. It just so happens I'm like, all right, it's going to be Mark's, and I'll go a step further. I'm going to put my ugly face on that bag. I'm going to put the face for radio on the fucking bag, baby. And so that was number 2. 3 was it did have to be something minimalist. So everybody knows I don't eat snacks. Yeah, folks, I said it. That's going to irk you. Don't let that trigger you and start sending me bullshit into my messages anymore. Oh yeah, founder. He actually says the honest truth about certain things. Correct. I don't eat very many snacks. I will say this. Every once in a while, I do love a good kettle chip. Fact. So it just so happens, I said, great, it'll be a minimalist product, meaning I got to have something that's only 1 or 2 or 3 ingredients to it, because then I can stand behind it. And 4 would be put all those things together and do what it is that I want to do, which is I want to build a platform. I want something where I can talk about why you shouldn't be eating snacks. Whoa, that's weird. Okay, you get it? So if I can put all those together, it might look like something like Mark's, and we just give it a big old good go, and let's see what happens. Within that, then I get to do all the storytelling, because I never have to worry about what is said or why it's said, because it's said by me. That means it's going to really either really resonate with somebody or not resonate with somebody. And the latter is the part that I want the most. I don't desire it. It's not like I'm looking for it, but I want it because I need it to differentiate. I need somebody to have some sort of emotional connection to this brand. And they're either going to say, I really like what this guy has to say, or I don't fucking like this guy. And I'm totally cool with both. Although I do really, I'm a sensitive guy. I don't really want you to like not like me. Anyway.
All right, Gavin, where do you want to go? I know where I want to go eventually, but follow-up question there.
I mean, love the passion. Obviously, the passion is, comments say it all. Your product is in a crazy category. It's dominated by tons of massive companies. Wade and I talked about this offline. Like we think you're crazy, and you've clearly said that. You know that. And I remember listening to you one of the first times, and you said you didn't even eat your protein snacks, the I1 ones. I'm just like, man, what CEO is a CEO of their company and they don't even like enjoy their product, right? But I appreciate your honesty, because a lot of people, they're not going to say that. They'll do the politically correct thing and say, yeah, I love my snacks and they taste great, and I eat them every single day and I eat them for every single meal. Let's talk about your fundraising process, because it's definitely probably different than Iwan was. Talk about that. You've raised, I think, $190,000 so far on WeFunder.
We're at about 190,000, and I haven't pushed on it the way that they're asking me to. There's like things that you're supposed to do. I just didn't do that. I was really lucky. We got $150,000 early, and that was really what I was looking for. I knew I was like, okay, that would be enough to get a few production runs going and the like. It was the route I chose. I wasn't going to go back out to people that I quote unquote knew who had raised with before, who I believed that would maybe write a check, refresh a check and stuff like that. I said, let me just do a community round, see if this has some legs. And that's what I did. Got with Alex, shout out to Alex, and Jeff did the video and kind of made it seamless. And then I was just lucky. Some would be like, no, you weren't lucky. It's because you've been on it's like, fuck, well, I was lucky. Well, because you don't know what happened. I'll tell you this. I was lucky because when I had originally just said, okay, I'm about to do this thing, I won't say it. I'm not going to, at some point later, I'll say it. I got a message from somebody who said, I'm in for 50. And I was not expecting that person to say it, not expecting the amount, and not expecting what was said after that. And I'll just say it's by God's hand. That's it. This is a full faith play. Like most of my, you can believe it or not or whatever. Like, we're here because something happened. I'm here. It's happening. That happened. The things I'm doing in the background right now with this brand is happening because it's supposed to happen. And different than things I've done in the past where I get in my own way, I'm not letting that happen. Not this time. I'm gonna let it just take its course.
Great. Just a follow-up question there. What does Mark Snacks look like today or in the future with your team? Obviously you made the comment earlier, you're a solo dude. You work best by yourself. Is that sustainable with like a high velocity category like chips?
Yes. I hope to not have to hire anybody.
Okay.
Wow.
I know that's crazy. And I don't mind saying you may know this too. There are brands out there right now that are doing wild numbers. They're not on LinkedIn. This isn't a good or bad thing about the LinkedIn. The founders, they should be working. Get out of here. You do whatever you want. But I'm just telling you, there are businesses out there right now in our space that are doing 50 and they got 3 people on their team. I'm telling you.
No doubt.
I believe that can happen. If this thing has the legs that I believe it could or should, I can do that. Now you need folks. They're just not like in the office and they're not the W-2 and they're not. I don't need all that. I've just found this controller. I found again. It's supposed to happen. This is the woman. Shout out to Kaylee. I found somebody. She's been doing the numbers. It hasn't been this seamless ever. So yes, I believe you can build like that. I'm also a big believer that you never say never. I have no idea if in 5 years this is whatever, and it just so happens that some of these other folks that get involved with the business are like, hey, we need 4 of the, sure, whatever. Cool.
I dig it. Wade, I think this is a great time to segue into.
Yeah. So I want to talk about strategy, right? So we talked about the idea, we talked about the fundraising strategy. I mean, you've been very open that you're going to do this differently. You're not going to do it traditionally. And I know maybe some of that you want to keep to yourself, but I'd like to dig into what does the strategy look like, at least today now? What is the play? And I don't know if you're willing to share it, say 12 months from now, where do you want to be? And what does it look like moving forward?
Great question. We ran our first production. We ran a truck. That's how I started. Give me 1 truck. It's 26 pallets. The goal is to sell all 26 pallets within the first 30 days. And we are on track to do that. We might even do it faster than that.
Hell yeah.
I will order a second truck. Already placed the PO for that. I will sell that second truck. And from there, I will figure out what are the next steps for the business while working on some much bigger plays in the background. So in the background, I'll set that aside. There's things that are going on right now. In the foreground is working off these trucks to work through Amazon, which is that direct business. I just want it in the hands of a few thousand people. I want them to tell me something amazing, right? If they don't tell me something amazing, I don't mind it. I just want to hear it early.
Yeah.
And off that as well, we'll work with some DSD plays, right? I just noted it. I'm up in the Northeast anyway, manufacturing, so I keep it up in the Northeast. I don't want to start moving trucks with air in it, right? I move it up there into a DSD. I hand it into 100, 200, 300 independent stores, and I find out what's happening in there. Are the products being sold? Great. Are the products being purchased again? Great. Are they coming back? Great. Any other feedback we can get from maybe the sales folks on the street? That's what's sort of nice about a really strong DSD. What are they saying? What's the store owner saying? What's the manager saying? You run into anybody when you went in the store and they have it in their cart? Ask them a question. You like that ugly face on there? I like stuff like that. I just want to get feedback, and that's what's going to happen.
Mark, so you talked about amazing feedback, and I'm reading in between the lines. That means positive or negative.
Totally. Always.
If it's a lot negative, then you got to go back to the drawing board on either pack size or flavor or potato and that kind of stuff, correct?
Yeah. Again, no, get a lot of negative, you kill it.
Yep.
How's that one? How's that one?
Yep. No, that's perfect. I think that clarifies it, I think, for the audience. Wade, can you pull up that comment from Justin?
Yeah, I was going to say, we had a follow-up question from Justin asking about WeFunder. Curious if it brought you a lot of new investors from their network, or was the bulk of the raise from your contacts and your LinkedIn, blah, blah, blah.
That's a good one. There's, I think, about north of 70 investors. I don't know a majority of them. However, I believe that a majority of them are from LinkedIn. I, again, am lucky that there are some at the higher level, the ones who put in the larger numbers. I know who they are a little bit more intimately, but we weren't like having conversations about the business before and going in over a debt. None of that stuff. It was just, some folks through the network that are in our space that think that there's something to this, which is cool.
That's awesome. And just on that LinkedIn note too, just to go from 0 to 70,000, what was that process like? Like, how long did it take you to do that? I know in hearing you speak in the past, you obviously make it a point to post multiple times a day, but what did that start? Like, did that start in 2020? Did it start in 2019? When did it start? And then when did you know that you could grow it to 70,000 or roughly 70,000?
I had no idea. I started writing, I want to say 7 years ago. It feels like it was shorter, but it wasn't. I really, truly believe it was about 7 years ago. I made the commitment to write once a day. It just so happens I turned into some days being twice, 3 times, taking a photo of some avocado or a photo of a shoe that somebody just sent me. Like, it turned into whatever it is, but I just described it as something very simple. It just became a journal for me. That's the only way I looked at it. And I still look at it like that today. Nothing is ever pre-written. I never think about it when I'm not supposed to be thinking about it. I get up like everybody else does. I put my friggin' underwear on. I don't know why I said, and I go to the gym, and then I randomly, whatever comes to mind, I write about, right? But now you start a new business, so of course there's gonna be more in that, because that's more what's on my mind. Yesterday, it just so happens I had a few bags sitting on my desk right here. I'm like, I'm gonna put these up and I'm gonna give away a few variety packs. It was literally off the cuff. And by the way, and so people think that, what's the strength of this thing? What is the strength of the thing? That thing has 100,000 impressions.
That's amazing.
Yes, amazing. It is amazing. And it's not, it's just, I'm just telling people what the strength of the platform is, and, grateful, whatever you're going to say.
All right. So we got a couple questions here about the SKUs themselves. Large bag, single serve, what flavors? Talk about the product itself.
Yeah, simple. That's the other thing too. It would have been a good, it's in the original. Like, what are you going to do? I'm selling three SKUs, and that's it for a while. Like, I already have people like, hey, Now, admittedly, I'll add one thing to it. So 3 SKUs, 5-ounce bags, salt, barbecue, and salt and vinegar. That's it. It makes everything, and because you're doing it, right? It makes everything so much easier when somebody asks, hey, can I get a price list? Price list, here's a one-sheeter of, don't ask me any more questions. Admitting I'm working on, I don't mind saying it, I'm working on pantry for Google right now, which, by the way, came through LinkedIn. Shout out. For January. So of course, it has to be on the go single. So I wasn't planning on adding SKUs for a long time, but if there's something that I can activate that makes a ton of sense, like something like that, where I'm selling thousands of bags, because these guys just grab them out of the pantry, right? Those convert to what would be Amazon plays, right? You get the anyway. So that's that. So that's simplicity is the truest form for me right now.
All right, Gavin, I got one you can read here. This from let me they're coming in hot and heavy from Steven. There you go. You got this one right in front of you. You can know on the screen. It's on the screen, brother.
I do. Sorry, I was just writing down a note. Steven says you're going hard on the seed oil free angle with Mark Snacks, but avocado oil is expensive and volatile on the commodity side. How do you make the math work when your COGS per bag is structurally higher than Frito-Lay's and all the guys, Sietes?
That's a good question. It's a gamble. It's a great question. It's not like it wasn't asked from some other people, like who were, hey, what are we going to do with it? It's a gamble. Avocado, and especially avocado right now, others are trying to play heavier in it, and others are converting to it. So Kettle Brand's converting some of their SKUs over to it. That's the business we're in. You got to take some chances here, and you got to go and angle and position yourself into something that makes sense. And for us, that's it. Now we are no seed oil, right? So we have a couple options that we can play with over time. But lastly, the comment would be, I'm never worried about Frito-Lay. I'm not even in their stratosphere. I don't want to compete with them on price. There would be no way I'm competing with them on price. So I have to be totally focused on what it is we're doing, why we're doing it, capture the proper margin that we're supposed to with a tangible business, and then see what this looks like on the other side. Lastly, I would say it's always a reminder for folks in a category that has a bigger player in it, something like a Frito-Lay, where you aren't necessarily even trying to convert those people. You should listen, whoever's listening to this, you just hear me out. I'm not trying to convert a person who eats Doritos, because the person who eats Doritos fucking eats Doritos, period. They're not looking for Mark's seed oil free snacks with some ugly face on it. They like Doritos. What I'm looking for is the fact that I got a minimalist place, seed oil free, and it's very possible that those people who are shopping the exterior part of the grocery store, I talk about it a lot, those are the folks that I may be interested in, because I could bring them into the aisle for a better for you option that they would potentially buy. Shout out. Thank you.
Okay, so we got a good one, and it goes retail price, not Amazon, because your retail strategy, Amazon strategy, price points. Robert,
it'll probably be like $100, $200 a bag at minimum. Okay. So, Robert, where do you want that shipped? Just Venmo me, Robert, $100, $200. You put whatever you want in the Venmo. I'll send it to you. No, it's going to be, we're at $5.49, $5.99. We're going to be that buck premium, until we can pick up some volume. It's everything knows that too. Yeah. You got to pick up some volume and get your production up a little bit, and then you can start, seeing where you can grab another dime or two.
What's interesting about that is, in before I moved to even California, I was, the bulk of my career, I was in Ohio in conventional. In Louisiana, I was in conventional. Then I moved to Jimbo's, and prices don't matter because it's California and it's natural, organic. No one cares. But that gap between leaving Louisiana in mid 2020 and fast forward now, when I'm playing and shopping in conventional more because of, I worked at Jimbo's, then I was at the Fresh Market, and I was shopping there, but now I'm shopping more conventional again because it's close by and it works. But it's sticker shock for me to see the price of Doritos and Lay's. And, we were doing we were doing, BOGOs and things like that. And I'm looking at the bag now. And to your point, I don't think you're that far off. If you look at most of their products are pre-priced, and it's like regular price, $5.49, $5.99. Now, are they ever there? Probably not. But that's what they're saying it is. And they're probably BOGOing off there. So I think it's into play. So do you have in your mind where you want to be, like a percentage of D2C versus brick and mortar? Is that coming down the road? Right now, it's just sell it, see what sticks.
Yeah, well, we're more focused on direct right now. But if you're at an 80-20 or 75-25 in some way, leaning more towards retail. Again, I don't suggest retail either. I'm just saying if this is what I want it to be, you eventually have to just give in. It has to be a retail business, right? And so if you're eventually doing 75 retail, 25 online, that would be just a really great business. That to me, but it always depends on the product, what you're selling, the price points, the recurrence of it, the size. That I could give you, the list of what will weigh your sort of your go to market.
Wait, I want to mention something. I remember it was probably about a year ago. Mark, you went on a tangent with a bunch of these conventional brands and talking mad. I mean, actually spitting facts, because like a lot of these ingredients that these companies use inside of ketchup or Pop-Tarts or whatever, right? Like there are a lot of preservatives and a lot of stuff that shouldn't be in there, dyes. I think you probably got RFK elected based on that. Also, just fast forwarding to now, the seed oils, that hopefully gets banned at some point. So the competitors in your category don't get to use them anymore, and they have to switch. With that being said, this definitely feels like a more premium brand. So from a strategic standpoint, I recently saw you guys partnered with Rainforest. Is there specific retailers that you're targeting to make sure the demographic that is hitting, or the demographic of stores you're going into, you get maximum return, or are you just trying to get feedback altogether?
Yeah, feedback altogether. One. Two is, yes, there's some retailers in the background that I would be more heavily focused on. Three is, I'm hoping that number two doesn't even matter, though. I'm hoping that three more relates to there was a moat developed, and that there's this new seed oil free kettle brand that is speaking to Americans in a way that others aren't, and there's an affinity to it. They're grabbing customers, and there's a couple reasons why. So that would be one of those things. To go to the processing and comment, like I don't care about any of it, because it's to the simplest form. If you just drop it down to what we're actually talking about, everybody should know this. We're fat. I'm not, this isn't offensive. I'm just telling, we're just a fat country. The reason is because we are eating wildly, overly processed fucking bullshit every day. And it's packaged up and it's marketed and it's positioned as something that it isn't. And to go a step further, it's the fact that we eat so much of it. I'm telling you right now, this isn't a pat on the back Mark stuff. It's because of these other disciplines that I have in my life. I could crush a fucking Pop-Tart every day and still be ripped as fuck. The problem is, let me go back and restate what I said. This isn't a Mark thing. I'm just trying to lay a groundwork here. It's because we don't know how to stop. We don't know how to say, well, that could be 20% of what I put in my body every day. And by the way, I shouldn't have 3 of those things. I need to stop at 1. That's the problem. We're a consumption country. We just fucking eat. And a majority of it is absolute bullshit. The red stuff, the seed oils, I don't even care. Fucking, I'll eat some. Give me a bottle of Red 40. I'll drink some of that. I'm not tripping about stuff like that. And neither should you. It's the responsibility of the parent at the home to start moving the trends the other way by showing our kids what does health look like. It looks like fucking movement. Go to the gym. Go find a track. Walk around the street a few times a day. And secondly, show them what it is like to eat properly. It's nutrition. Eating a majority of our food, single ingredient items. We can have snacks. We can have a Pop-Tart. We can have Fruit Loops. Fucking Toucan Sam could be our best fucking friend. You just got to understand how and when to eat it and how much of it. I don't know where this tangent went. I just am so.
Gavin teed it up by talking about you.
Fine.
Blame Gavin.
Sorry.
Blame Gavin.
Sorry for the language day. It's
No.
it's one of those days. It's just one of those days.
The SEC will be sending us a check afterwards.
We're censored the second weekend. Alex, shout out to Alex. He's in the background. Says he and everyone that he's given the product to loves the product perfection. We got a couple people saying you wish you had more passion, etc. Okay, so I want to dig in a little bit more on the play, because you talk about working things in the background, and I'm not asking you to divulge anything, but if someone came to you today, let's just say, I don't know, making it up, 300 stores, would you have the conversation, or are you so focused on what you're doing and here and there that you don't want to have that? What does that look like? Someone that comes knocking and says, "Hey, Mark, what are you up to?" Blah, blah, blah. Are you listening, or are you kind of just focused on where you're headed?
I'm always listening.
Okay.
I'm always listening. And if somebody has an opportunity and it makes sense, and more importantly, because as you know, the amount of money I have, it would require a lot more than if somebody came with an opportunity. So if somebody wants to write the proper check and it makes sense, let me hear what you got to say.
Okay.
And that's what's nice. I'm wildly patient right now. I don't need to do anything. And it's exciting to be in that spot, because many of us have been in really
desperate.
Yeah, that's a good word. Desperate is one of many words, right? Uncomfortable, fearful, exciting, like it goes all over the place. And when you're in those spots that don't allow for you to be calm, balanced, and thoughtful, you oftentimes make really bad decisions.
Got it.
I think I hear what you're saying. I think a lot of people, founders, salespeople in general, like when you have inventory and it's aging, you say yes a lot quicker because you need an outlet,
Mm-hmm.
and it feels like you're being patient. You're being very strategic with your thought process of, hey, I got to sell this truck in 30 days. And then if you start seeing progress with that, you're going to get the second truck, right? I think that makes a lot of sense. I also just know, like, people become desperate where they see a door and maybe it's 200 doors. And it's just like, okay, 200 times, how many cases they're going to take per store, per SKU. It's just like, that's going to alleviate a lot of inventory. We can get that out. And then they hope it's going to turn at store level. I do want to touch on this. You have so much passion behind just this conversation, right? About your product. Are you going to turn this passion into some type of marketing a la TikTok or whatever? And maybe you're not on TikTok. I don't know. I feel like this would go very well with that crowd. Plus, you're going to touch the crunchy moms and things like that are more than likely going to be the ones who are purchasing the product at store level or on Amazon. What are you going to do from a marketing standpoint?
Yeah, I don't know. We have TikTok because we're going to play on TikTok. It's one of the early things that we are doing is doing TikTok shop, and I'm having somebody handle that for us. So I'm going to let that float itself for the next 90 days. I grabbed the channel. I haven't really done much on it yet because it's one of those things. Again, I don't know what this is supposed to be. I'm very open about that. Like, I don't know what this is. I don't even know what it is. I don't know what it's supposed to be. I do know what I wrote the story. Like, what is this about? And like, who's me? But it's a good question, and it goes to like me being really methodical and patient about what are the next steps, including each of the marketing arenas, right? For now, even all the posts that you see, even on the brand pages, they're just me. I've been doing, because I'm just going off what feels right. I've been doing a lot of stuff around God and faith because I just feel like that's something that could be included in this, and like, consistently. and really allow itself to breathe within the brand. And so that's just, again, one example, but you never know. There could be a video of me working out. There could be a video of me with my kids working out. I've already posted some stuff where we're at some AAU basketball things. Because it's me, I don't have any filter. I don't really care what anybody thinks, right? I don't have my marketing person who's like, I don't know if that's on brand. Fuck all of that. There is nothing. It doesn't matter. What's on brand is whatever I'm thinking about. And so I hope that helps a little bit.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of stuff I'm going to try and go back through. So I know we got a question from Alex. What's the most popular flavor so far based on sales and feedback?
I don't know yet because the variety pack is killing it on Amazon right now. So Alex, I'll know soon.
Got it. And then Jeff says, Will said to post this. Is that broccoli? Is that he wants a broccoli chip or what is that?
It said to post broccoli. I don't know. It's just a
Shower thought.
related. I don't know. Is the better question? Is Will on this?
I don't know.
Is Will listening?
You should say something.
He tried to make a hiatus. He tried to make a hiatus off the bat, which I'm so happy for him to do that. Anyway.
Well, so I want to ask you a little bit, and again, I'm not prying here relative to co-mans. Okay, so my experience in this category in the past, when I played around in private label a little bit, typically you got a good co-man, but they're making products for a lot of people. How does that look for you as you scale and potentially grow this beyond DTC and start getting some brick and mortar and expanding? Is scalability there? Are you concerned with it? Again, I'm not digging for your co-man. I just know, oftentimes it's a ways out. So what does that look like? Scalability.
It's so funny to have somebody go. Scalability is what I do right in the beginning is I make sure that there is a room to scale. So okay. I start with, hey, this is what it's going to look like. Can we do this? And you work that warm relationship out to make sure that this is about to be a partnership. Another thing I'm super grateful for. These folks, because I've been around the space, like I know you. Hey, I can't. Yeah, you got to. I love all that, dude. Energy was up right when we started. Second was I was very lucky that they weren't just reputable. Like when I went to see the run and have it done, it was just beautiful. But going back to the original point is, yes, they have the ability to scale. Plus, they have another location that I can drop into. So there's a room to scale there too. However, even with that said, if you really believe you are going to scale even beyond that or what those numbers may be, you got to start looking around and having some of those early conversations, which I did. It just so happens in the beginning to make sure that where would I go if I did need another location to jumpstart us? And I have that dialed in.
Nice. All right. Lots of comments there. I think that's all the questions. I might have missed something, but I don't know. Did you see anything else there, Gavin?
No, man. I mean, Mark, I think you're onto something. I think it's really cool. Obviously, the passion. I would really encourage you to do the TikTok thing because I mean that's just going to reach so many people. Plus, people are going to vibe with you, man. It's an opportunity. If there's any marketing people in the chat, hit Mark up and teach him how to use TikTok because he clearly needs a little bit of help with that. But he's got the main character energy needed to go viral, so that'll just make sure your co-man's ready to get a couple truckloads of product out there.
I'm envisioning you're the Morton Downey Jr. of chips. Remember that guy from the 80s? He's smoking a cigarette, screaming at people and yelling. You can do this, man. You can be in,
whatever works, Wade. Whatever works, dude. Okay.
Mark, talk about your family really quick. You got 2 kiddos. I'm a new dad. 8-month-old twins. How are the kids doing?
We're doing great.
How do they like you as a dad? You're obviously disciplined. Are you preaching the disciplined life as well to the kids?
I appreciate it. How do they like me as a dad? I just take what you just got and now place that into a house. Okay. I tell people all the time, we were talking about offline. Parenting is the greatest gift God can ever give you, period. So that's number beyond, second to health. Health is the first. It's the most difficult and sometimes the suckiest thing as well. I'm just always honest. There's 90% of the time it sucks, but the 10% that's absolutely amazing trumps the 90% by 100-fold. So that's how I've always described it. And yeah, I'm pretty tough. Like, but you know, hopefully later in the years they recognize that those disciplines were created, and some of my directness is somewhat appreciated. Sometimes it's not appreciated right now. And I have this new lady. She's got 2 kids. We're planning on all God by God's hand. And who knows? Maybe I'll have more kids. I'm ready. I'm ready, dog. 46. I'm ready now to start over. People think I'm crazy. I have friends who are like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "I'd have kids now, dude. Let's go."
Yeah,
maybe this is a new the Brady Bunch of the 21st century or something.
Correct.
You know.
I will say I'm still in the thick of it with them being 8 months old. But the one thing that I've had a super hard time adjusting to is just like, you just don't have the freedom anymore to do anything that you want. Marriage was one thing, but then it's like, just to even get a workout in with 2 twins running around at home, like pawning them off to your wife or her pawning them off to me, it's like, that's a full-time job times 2. It's crazy. So
yeah, well, you're blessed, dude. And I remember that. So congrats on that. Number 1. 2 is there's never an excuse. Yes, you just hand here. This is you. I'm going for an hour, and back to me. I'm going for an hour. There you go. That's my only preach on that.
Yeah, I've just got to get the thick skin there. I've got to.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
We'll figure it out. But Wade, anything else, man? This has been a great episode.
It's been a great show. We had a couple people. Steven says that this might be the best episode ever until we get that FCC fine. Congratulations. We're sending that to Mark Snacks if it does come in. But no, Mark, anything.
That's a CPG Vibes deduction that you'll receive in the mail.
Exactly. Deduction. There you go. Anything, Mark, from you closing things up that you want to share?
I appreciate you guys. No, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate Alex. People can run to Amazon now. I'm going to actually announce it next week. I didn't even really announce it. They can run to Amazon now and find us. But I appreciate you guys. Always have. And Alex, because Alex is wildly important. And that's it. And send me your addresses when we get off.
Gotcha. Well, just real quick, next week, I think we're gonna have some guests. We'll post it. Watch LinkedIn. It'll be coming. It'll be a surprise, just like Mark was a surprise. But I think it'll be a good surprise, whoever it is. And Gavin and I will be back. Everybody have a great Labor Day weekend, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Thank you,
guys.
Take care.